After the election, Disney was very excited because the ladies of The View were enjoying ratings that few had ever seen before. But it turns out people were just tuning in to see them go crazy and lose their minds. Now The View is in trouble. May it be canceled yet? We shall see, but viewings are dropping, and the bottom of the barrel may have not yet been met. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel. We are so overjoyed to have you here with us, and we are hoping truly that you are enjoying your holiday break. If you are getting to celebrate Thanksgiving, we hope you're having fun with your family. And folks, if you're not, remember, brighter days can be ahead. Keep forging forward. The ladies of The View, that's what they're going to have to remind themselves because, well, nobody's watching them anymore, at least relative to what was happening after the election. I don't know how it must feel to know that people are tuning in just to watch you be in misery, but that was the effect, the phenomenon that they were apparently experiencing. Folks will bring on a panel to discuss whether or not The View has disgusted their viewers to the point they don't have anybody, they don't have any ratings, and maybe no advertisers. We'll get started. You click the like button. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's The View. It's the crazy ladies, and well, we'll tell you what they're up to, and it's not doing ratings, that's for sure. Take a look at this. It is out of Soap Opera Network. Why is Soap Opera Network covering The View? Who knows? We don't care. We like it anyway. It's by Errol Lewis. The View sheds post-election ratings bump on par with season averages among households and viewers. Uh-oh. It turns out the schadenfreude is over. It turns out the honeymoon where people wanted to tune in just to see these crazy ladies lose their minds has faded. Not even the average consumer can possibly stand Whoopi, Joy, and Not So Sunny with their latest takes. People are turning away. Here's what the article says. After hitting multi-year highs during election week, ABC's The View returned to normalcy 1 week after former President Donald J. Trump was named President-elect Trump, according to the latest ratings figures released by the measurement company Nielsen. Now, folks, remember that The View is Disney's biggest daytime show on ABC. So the idea that it hit these wonderful ratings and had, Disney was scrambling behind the scenes. How do we find a conservative? How do we find somebody who's actually pro-Trump to come on the show because we can't cancel it? It's got great ratings. How do we do this? 1 week later, it comes back down to normal, and we all find out that people were really just tuning in to see them freak out. Averaging 2.522 million viewers during the week of November 11th through 15th, the daytime talk show was down from 3 million viewers who tuned in during election week, which at the time led the show to draw its largest overall audience in more than 3.5 years. The show's post-election day episode averaged 4.4 million, attracting its largest overall audience in more than 10 years since the late Barbara Walters' Farewell episode, May 16th. And we only do that impression because we love Barbara Walters. All right. I want to go to Marvin first. Marvin, how would you feel if you were on a show where the best ratings you ever had came from people tuning in to watch you be in misery? Like, that is how The View is able to draw in a crowd is, hey, let's go watch them melt down. And now that they've melted down, people say, ew, gross, I'm going somewhere else now again.
Oh, absolutely. It must be the most deflating feeling on the planet to know that they only wanted to tune in to watch you throw a temper tantrum. And then the second you're back to normal, the second you're going to actually be talking about the things that you're normally supposed to be talking about, the entirety of the world has pretty much just gone, no thanks. I'm good. I was just here to watch you be completely disconnected from reality, Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, I think that's how many people are feeling as well. Derek, we have watched in that week that people turned in to see The View, we have watched them attack a bakery. We have seen them attack the majority of Americans as being out of touch and, vitriolic and terrible. We've seen them lash out. Are you shocked at all that The View is losing viewers in this way? Is this
no
surprise?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, look, everybody knows what The View is, which is why everyone tuned in to watch the meltdown, because it's entertainment for us, right? It's like, oh yeah, these guys are about to melt down. They're about to whine. They're about to cry because they didn't get the results of the election that they wanted. We know these are not stable people that are on this show. But look, the fall off from the viewership is not it's not surprising. People have less time than ever to do things. We have a million different options to watch news, to watch coverage of various things. I know I don't have a lot of time in my day to dedicate to nonsense, to just people with deranged ideas. I don't have a lot of time in my day. I wish I had a longer day. I wish I need a 48-hour day, to be very honest with you. But the reality is that people do not have time to dedicate, an hour, 2 hours towards something that's nonsensical, something that's bogus, something that isn't really truthful. And that's what we're starting to see. The pushback that we're seeing in the media right now are people that's like, hey, look, my time is limited. I want to go to where I can get the information that I want, that I need to make decisions for my life without having to go through all of this, drama and all of this nonsense. So that's basically why people are leaving The View and all of these other mainstream, platforms where they've just been peddling lies for the last, decade, or pretty much. They've been peddling lies. People don't have the time for your lies anymore. You've been exposed. All right. I was saying this on a video the other day. You guys have been exposed. And that's why the mainstream media is melting down at this moment, because they know they have lost their influence over a lot of people. People are no longer influenced by what it is they're doing. So, yeah, not surprised whatsoever.
Well, I'll tell you what surprises me, Derek. I would have thought that they could have held on to the ratings just a little bit longer. Like, I thought that the fact that they're so out there, they're kind of like America's Funniest Home Videos, except sad. And so I thought, well, people will tune into the train wreck a little bit longer than this because, it's enjoyable to watch these people just banter on without any kind of sense in their heads. But that's not happening. And I've got an idea of, as I've been assessing how they lost their viewership this quickly, I want to show folks who aren't familiar with what the typical View episode looks like. So if it's okay, I'd like to show you Senator Tim Scott, his appearance with The View real quick, just so people understand what it is that is tuning people out of Disney's daytime television. Here's a snippet, a clippet of it, and then we'll go to culture.
You have indicated that you don't believe in systemic racism. What is your definition of systemic racism?
Let me answer the question that you've answered.
Or does it even exist in your mind?
Let me answer the question this way. One of the things I think about, and one of the reasons why I'm on the show, is because of the comments that were made, frankly, on this show, that the only way for a young African-American kid to be successful in this country is to be the exception and not the rule. That is a dangerous, offensive, disgusting message to send to our young people today, that the only way to succeed is by being the exception. I will tell you that if my life is the exception, I can't imagine.
But it is.
But it's not actually. It's been
114 years.
Yeah. So the fact of the matter is, we've had an African.
Do you notice how they've got an African American man, a black man on the show who has achieved at the highest levels, and I just want people to look at the posture, the body posture of Sunny. She has that. She has a distasteful kind of approach here, where she's leaned back. You can tell in her face that she has the feeling of disgust as he's talking. Now, that's not based on racial animosity, clearly. It's based on the idea that he would come on the show and discuss his thoughts and his worldview that differs from her own and have the audacity to do so. And you can see that she has this sort of visual, visceral reaction. We'll keep playing a little bit and we'll get culture thought.
She must be really fun to play poker with, bro.
Yeah. I can't beat that.
African-American president, African-American vice president. We've had 2 African-Americans to be secretaries of the state. In my home city, the police chief is an African-American who's now running for mayor. The head of the highway patrol for South Carolina is an African-American. In 1975, there was about 15% employment in the African-American community. For the first time in the history of the country, it's under 5%.
40% homelessness.
And 50% of the folks in our community
get 13% of the population.
You had a chance to ask the question. I know that I've watched you on the show, that you like people to be deferential and respectful, so I'm going to do the same thing.
True.
And he handles that very well. But culture, this is what people are tuning into on The View, and you can see why I think people are tuning out. Do you think The View has a future, culture? Do you think they can moderate to a better place?
I think under the right leadership, it's possible, but it's got to be in place soon. I think you're right in many ways, that the show really gained that audience for a limited time. And there's a reason why it was as limited as it was, Pro. I think as Derek said, I mean, these are disingenuous people and they're crazy and they don't align with our society at all. There are a bunch of ladies that are of the privilege of I'm going to use their words, privilege of staying home and watching television all day, and they align with a lot of these political ideals. This is not normal America. When you get a wonderful speaker on there to challenge their assertions and and to not defer to their point of view, they get all riled up. And I think I really enjoyed The View the last week because we got to see them do 4 legal notices in one show. I appreciated that more than you could even imagine. But the reason it fell off a cliff is because the Schadenfreude is only good for so long, and then the rest of us don't dwell on it. We move along. Yeah, you guys are suffering. It's joyful to see for some people for a short period of time because you have placed so much misery on the rest of us for so very long. But mature adults get over that rather quickly and move along with their lives, and they can't be the clown show that they were before. They've lost so much consideration by the general public, and it shows in the evening news ratings, where we now see that Fox News, if you compare all the news products that are out there, especially during prime time, Fox News is now 75% of viewership. They took away everybody else's share. Everybody else has to share what's left of that 25%.
Yeah, the crazy thing culture is Fox News, and we're going to talk about this in another story.
Yeah,
Fox News, this is so bizarre. I didn't know this until I started doing the research for that segment. Fox News is actually propping up all of cable TV, and flat out. I mean, it is subsidizing like 100 other channels that nobody watches.
But the terrifying horizon I think they all see, and I think everybody else here can speak to this, is that when we get the new administration, one of their plans is to remove, once again, pharmaceutical advertisements from television and radio. You can't. You're marketing drugs to people who can't actually go out to the store and buy them. They're trying to get these people to go and talk to their doctor about things, to circumventing the process. This is just hot garbage, and in the near future, when that gets shut down, everything that supports these programs is advertisements. If you take away their ability to collect revenue from the biggest advertisement, producers there are, which is the drug companies, you no longer have a viable product, and they'll have to pitch themselves in a different way. These people who make extraordinary salaries will lose those. I've talked about that at length. I talked about that in my video that I dropped this morning early on. But it's the fact that the media is collapsing overall because their prospects are dismal. And this show especially.
Guy too. Did you see that culture?
Oh, he's dude is mentally disconnected from reality.
I mean, we're living rent free in their heads. It's bizarre.
Yeah, and he's like, the citizens can't report the news. Elon Musk is blah blah blah. He was very, mean to the people that have been providing actual news for a long time. People would not know to the extent that things were overblown, especially during the riots, way back when, and all this other stuff, if it weren't for citizen journalists. Because, CNN's got a guy standing in front of a burning building saying, mostly peaceful. Bologna sausage. It's like everybody can see from people on their phone showing you what's legitimately happening. And now that they don't have the coalition of censorship, and that's going to disappear rather rapidly in the next administration, we got Elon came in, bought Twitter, and removed censorship and started talking about it publicly and putting people, on notice that this is intolerable in the United States. And so, like you said, Pro, I think The View could survive, to answer your question that you asked like 27 minutes ago, and I talked forever. But could The View survive? Certainly. The problem is that they're going to have to figure it out fast. Because they need to temper people like Joy Behar, who pretends not to know who Joe Rogan is, despite the fact that she used to work in the comedy business, I think, although she is not funny. But you have these people pretending that the things they're saying are true. They need people on there who actually say the true things and have facts behind them. And absolutely, I think that's the exchange that they'll have to make at Disney. And I don't know if the producers there, the EPs, the people that are behind that show, have the fortitude to do that. The only people that have shown any fortitude for that show has been the lawyers. And now I swear they've got to have like four lawyers sitting on that set, as I think you've mentioned before, getting ready to write up legal notes on the nonsense. So.
And who's trustworthy on that show? Who do you trust on that? Who would be a trustworthy voice? I think they got to gut half of that group. They got to gut at least half
Oh,
of them and replace them with other people. Who do you bring in to replace? I think Joy Behar is 100% gone. I don't think she fits any longer. I think you keep Whoopi because Whoopi's kind of Whoopi.
She's a good moderator.
Sonny because yeah, and then you can keep Sonny for the far crazy, insane, and then you got to bring some other people in. I don't know who else you bring in, but yeah, I think Alyssa Fair Griffin, I think you got to get rid of her because she's kind of she was good going back and forth with Sonny at times, but I think you got to get rid of her. Who do you keep?
Derek, you
get rid of Navarro. You get rid of Navarro, and I think you're right on Griffin because she's incredibly compromised human. But no, you have to bring some credibility. I would agree with you. Sorry,
Marvin. Who do you think?
Well, I just think the last time that The View was culturally relevant was when it had Elizabeth Hasselbeck on there, or when it had Meghan McCain, when it had Candace Cameron. You got to get rid of some of these ladies and bring in opposing voices because nobody wants to hear an echo chamber. I remember people used to tune in, used to talk about all the time, oh my gosh, you'll never believe what Elizabeth Hasselbeck said on The View this week and the big fight that erupted over it. The problem, though, is that it becomes such a toxic workplace, like Meghan McCain said. Nobody on the other side wants to walk into that lion's den anymore because they'll only ever make it one person. If the panel was evenly split, otherwise it's just a gang up on the one person.
Bring in two.
If you split it could be pure entertainment. At least on that level, you could have the cat fights going on. You would have some entertainment from that standpoint, and I think kind of that's really what The View has been. Every once in a while, they'll give some good points, but mostly it's just cat fighting. So it's like, okay, let's just make it a cat fight show and call it a day.
Let me hand this to Jonas to wrap up the conversation. Jonas, I think we can reduce this down to a very simple philosophical issue that they need to solve. It's actually more base than politics. And that is, when they had Tim Scott on, for example, Jonas, you'll notice that as they're talking, and we'll get that playing one more time, you'll notice that as they're talking, he rightly acknowledges the positive movement in minority groups, specifically in African American groups. And he's right to do so. And Sonny is rightly identifying that maybe those are exceptions. And we'll grant that for the moment. Okay. And I don't know that that's accurate, but we'll grant it for we'll grant it for simplicity's sake. So Jonas, here's the thing I'm seeing philosophically. The View is very good at identifying the problems in society or the problems that they perceive in voters or the problems that they see on the right. They are woefully inadequate in recognizing progress and presenting an optimistic future that could be had. There's no positivity on the show. And that's why I think the views for The View absolutely crashed after just a week, because people will tune in to watch crazy in a train wreck. People will tune in for a week to see people weak-mindedly, bumble about. But at some point, people want to have some kind of optimism. And if Sonny in this clip that we're watching up there, if she had said, you know what, you're right, things are looking better in a lot of ways, but there are still some people who need help. That's the correct way to find that positive middle ground where both sides can come together. The View doesn't have that. And so The View doesn't have the ability to draw people in beyond their own nutty dystopian audience. Jonas, your thoughts?
Well, I'm confused. Are they fighting over is there not enough food in the studio and they're locked in and they're trying to figure out who is more dominant so that they can provide for their tribes? I'm still not quite understanding what the premise of The View is here. Is it just to let them all vent their spleen all over the airwaves for an extended period of time? Is the intent here to get all those rage clicks from people that agree with ABC and The View and the far left people that run the studio here? Or is the idea that we will all be talking about what they say? So they've got this parallel economy on top of what they think they're doing in this show. They would probably throw around the term grifter if they were talking about somebody like us or Derek or the people who talk about this from a conservative perspective. They would be so quick to identify that, well, you're talking about these things because your audience is hyper engaged and it's going to make them angry to talk about it. I don't think that's why we talk about things. Sometimes we're angry and we want to talk about it because we were angry about it. When I look at what they're doing here on The View, yes, it's very easy for them to find problems on the right. In fact, I think they're probably jumping at shadows, if that's what you're hinting at here, where they see problems even where those problems don't exist. And they are incentivized in a way that we're very quick to point it out on social media when somebody has a monetary reason to keep people angry. I think that's all The View is at this point. It's no longer an intellectual discussion. You've got a really angry woman and also the lady from Sister Act just going back and forth talking about how bad the world is. And you throw in a little bit of Joy Behar so you can hear it with whatever that accent she has. There's nothing of value on this show at this point. And I don't know how they get someone like Tim Scott on the show, except to show up and say, hey, I think that maybe you guys are part of the problem. But Sonny Hostin is so unwilling to examine that viewpoint in the moment that even when he says, you know, I know you like to be deferential, you like the guests to be deferential, she even interrupts him while he's saying that you need to respect the audience. So it's just a rage machine. It's
right.
exactly what it is. And I think they need better catering. Maybe that would tone down the
They should get
vitriol
Lucasfilm,
on the
Jonas.
show.
If they would just get Lucasfilm catering, they'd have caviar every day. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We are done for now, but don't worry. Do not fret. Not yet, for more content is still coming your way 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. What a joy it has been to share our time with you. We hope you feel the same. Adding value to your every single day is our job here, and we take it very seriously. Folks, the only thing we ask in return is that you consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. And drop a comment right on down below. And folks, if you'd like to subscribe to our partner YouTube channels, That Park Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and some of those radio stations like Vacation Radio, well, we certainly would appreciate it. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time and being invited into your day, folks, we go on our way saying this: keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.